Today's junk journal with me, I'm going to be working on the prompt of gentle lines from my No So November prompts, and this one is, I feel like, a little bit simple on the surface, but I wanted to include it still because I thought that it would be a really interesting exercise for the No So journal format to look at line work in particular. So when I was thinking about this prompt, obviously because the No So journal format sort of lays flat like this and we have one big long surface to work on, what I immediately was thinking about was having something like continuing throughout all of the pages. And so the way that I thought I could do this would be just by using some simple pencils. Now I have a mix of different ones here, from regular like colored pencils to also some pastel markers as well, and I think a few of these might even be, yeah, Inktense pencils as well. So I think it's going to be really interesting to play around with these different ones, especially because the ones that are water activated I think will be really interesting. So I've got this leaf green one, but I want to try and pick ones that are fairly neutral. So I've got a chestnut colour there. Let's see, and I'm thinking I might stick with some warm earthy tones for this, but I am also kind of intrigued by maybe a little bit of like a pop of pink moment, or one of these pastel markers as well, just to see how that looks. It might be a little bit smudgy, but I've got some fixative that I can use as well. So I'm just going to pull out a few different colours here just to see. Like, I'm not going to use all of these, but I'm just sort of going through and seeing which ones potentially I might want to use. I mean, even something like this could be quite nice. So I think I might swatch out the colours first just to see what we're working with, because I'm not going to need all of these. Oh, maybe a classic Payne's Grey as well. You can tell this is one of my favourites because of how small it already is. Okay, let's go with those. Maybe one more of the Inktense, like water soluble ones. See, black seems a little bit too harsh for this, so maybe we'll go with the Baked Earth, more of a brown colour. And okay, yeah, I think that should be enough to go off. So I've got quite a few colours here, and I'm obviously not going to use all of them, but I figured let's just pick out a few to work with and get a bit of a colour palette going. I'm just going to swatch them in my journal here just so I can get an idea of the colours first before I add them to the journal itself. So let's go with maybe here. And I'm conscious, obviously not all of these are going to show up. So there is my colour palette, and I actually really enjoy the way that those have turned out on this little swatch here in this journal. But I think quite a lot of the colours go together, and I'm probably leaning towards maybe the olive brown, the Payne's Grey, and then maybe a pop of either this pink here or Venetian red. And then maybe I might bring in perhaps the chestnut or the leaf green. I think the Baked Earth one is a little bit too orange for this journal. This pastel pencil here, it didn't really show up very well on this surface, but it's a little bit too dark, I think, of a purple. But also, if it's struggling on this surface, then I think it will potentially struggle on the different papers that I've got going on for this journal anyway. So there is my little colour chart reference. I'm just going to keep that to one side here. So I think I'm just going to start with maybe a couple of the green colours here, and my idea is that I just want to draw, like the prompt says, some gentle lines sort of across the pages here to connect them. And I'm hoping that eventually this will anchor like some focal points on each of the pages, or maybe even be lines that I can do some writing on. You know, when you see sometimes there will be pages, and I'll do an example on here, where you have the different lines sort of going on the page. So maybe one like this, and then one like this, and then another like wider one. And then when people will do the letters sort of in between like this, and they'll sort of go with the shape of the lines. That's kind of the thing I want to set up, to give myself the option to potentially do that with some of the quotes, because I think that might be interesting just as a way of leading your eye through these pages, because I'm trying to think now that we're coming up to sort of like the halfway point with this journal, is I really want to start setting up these pages so that I can kind of finish them as little compositions and sort of work my way through, because I feel like we're at a point where the background is, you know, pretty much there now, and most of the pages I'd say have kind of got their own like setups and sort of character about them almost, and so they are ready now for you know, further embellishments or adding the text to and things like that with some of the prompts now. So I sort of want to start this off by having these lines sort of carrying through. So I'm going to start with this earth green here and see how this looks. So I might run some different colors across different pages and just see how that looks, but I'm thinking my eye is kind of drawn like this across the page. So I'm just going to hold the pencil quite high up here, which gives you less control, whereas if I was to hold it here, it would kind of be a little bit more rigid. So I just want to hold it like this and just let it flow across the page. So I'm going to start probably around about here, and then just work my way fairly gently. Like these are going to be, they're going to be gentle lines. They're not going to be as obvious in all of the places on the page. Whoops. Oh, and I've completely missed a bit. Okay, well that's a fun and interesting thing I've discovered that I could do, is I could just completely miss pages. Let me see if I can maybe add this one here. And then let's carry this up. So I don't want them to be like one big straight line. And yeah, they are quite subtle. But I just want to sort of have a bit of gentle movement, I suppose, between the pages, and then that will, like I said, hopefully start something in terms of movement throughout the pages and a little bit of continuity. Like, I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera, but let's just carry on, because I feel like this is quite a nice colour here. So maybe let's skip where we've got these tip-ins here. Okay, so I'm going to go from under here and then go again through these pages. So let's maybe go up here, and then I'm going to sort of lift the pressure so I'm not going too much over that image. And then I'm kind of tempted to just like circle collection, and then once I've sort of highlighted that, I'm going to then go across here, and I'm going to layer up and do a few of the lines on this page here, just because there's a little bit more like open space, so I think that could lend itself quite nicely to some lettering potentially. But I don't want to do like too many straight lines. And then I think I'm going to skip possibly this tip in, or maybe I could, do you know what, maybe I could go underneath. So let's go through here and then maybe go up and across. So if I don't like the way a certain section has turned out as well, because it's just pencil, I can obviously just erase where I have done that, because I kind of went up on a little bit of a bump here with this piece of collage and it sort of sent me off track. So I might end up just like, you know, getting rid of that section, but I'll just carry on with having the pencil marks coming through here as well. So maybe we'll start off here, and then I kind of want to go across this section and then very gently, whoops, around here. And I don't want these to be like super harsh lines carried throughout the journal pages, because I just think that would detract a little bit too much. I want them to be part of everything that I've got going on here, because I was thinking about using ink, but I thought that that would really be way too harsh for this, and I just thought that it would turn into a mess basically. So that's why I decided to do pencil instead, and then we'll come in with some of the Inktense pencils as well. So I'm just going to do this same colour here on this section, and maybe let's go from around about there and then just follow the lines, and I might go back on myself here a little bit as well, just to have some more variety. And I think I'm just liking the way that this like bluey green colour ties in ever so subtly with this colour from the patchwork piece that I did. So it's nice to have that sort of continuity between things. I think I got a bit carried away here, so I don't know if that's going to stay. So I'm just testing out some of the pencil marks here with the Inktense, or the Graphitint, I think this is actually. Yeah, the Graphitint pencil. And I think this is way too harsh, so I'm actually really glad that I chose the greenish colour, I think, out of all of these, because I'm not really loving what's happened here, and I'm glad I didn't do that across the entire surface of this journal. I think it just doesn't fit the colour scheme, so that's going to have to be covered up. So I've gone through the journal pages now and added those gentle lines just as a subtle detail. So like I said earlier, this isn't meant to be anything super noticeable. It's a very subtle thing, but I think it's going to start serving as a bit of an anchor point for certain things, like for words and for writing. So it might be that it helps me to add certain focal points to a page. So I don't know if it's going to show up here, but I went across here, and then it just sort of draws my eye to, okay, I'm going to pop something here. Or even with these ones here, like it kind of draws you to this section of a page and this section here. So it's all very subtle, and I haven't done it across every single page, so I kind of skipped ones where I had some of these tip-ins, but again, this kind of creates a bit of movement throughout the page. And I even circled some of the text elements here, and I created some sections here where I'll be able to use this as a guide to add some lettering to. I really like the way that the colour sort of complements what we've got going on through the page, so it was definitely helpful to swatch out the colours first to see what we had, rather than going directly in with some of these colours. Kind of stopped here because I didn't really want to interfere with this image. And then again, I've circled another one of these little phrases as well. And so that is how the journal is looking after adding some line work to it. So I'd love to know how you've experimented with the prompt of gentle lines within your junk journal or whatever project you're working on. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.